entertainmentbuddha.com.
Hey Overwatch community, welcome to the first episode of Pushing Payloads. I'm your host, White Polar, and with me is my co-host, Lazy Panda.
What's up? This is Lazy Panda, also known as just plain old Panda. Me and Polar and I wanted to do this podcast for a lot of reasons. We both love games. Especially, right now, more the Blizzard games, so more the Blizzard PC games. We also wanted to do it, just to kind of connect with the community more. We're both, average players. We can be better than average sometimes, but at the moment, we're currently, Wood League, good in Overwatch. We wanted to reach out to the community, talk about some controversial things, not so controversial things in the gaming realm. And I really wanted to just have a good time with it. And, Polar's one of my best friends from, at least a decade, probably more. So it's just great talking with him.
Awesome. Yeah. And on my end here, guys, so like Panda mentioned, he and I have been friends now for about a decade, and we love the just games in general, and really got hooked onto Overwatch over the past year or so. And for me specifically, this isn't a day job, so I actually have my work that I do outside of this, but I'm actually looking to transition career-wise into the gaming industry. And really not just make an impact, but to help gamers of all different skills and really of all different genres. It's just kind of something where you get to a point. I've been in my industry for a few years now, and I'll talk about that in a later episode, but kind of looking for another career path here, and video games is something that has been with me ever since I was growing up. And so now that I'm a bit older now, I've been out in the workforce a bit, I kind of want to transition into this field. It just seems like a really great time, and it's something that I love doing. So that's part of the reason why I'm doing this podcast, along with also too just talking about a really awesome game made by a legendary company with a great community as well too. So that's why we're doing our podcast.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. For me, I'm good in my 9 to 5, but I know there's millions of people playing Overwatch and other Blizzard games that are probably feeling like you or feeling that way. But we'll definitely get into that more later. Polar, do you want to start out with how you got introduced to video games in general, kind of your top hits from the past and what brought you to Overwatch today?
Yeah, definitely. And then from there we can talk about what our viewers or listeners can expect to hear about when they tune into our show. So for me, guys, so I'm the youngest of 3, with my middle brother being about 7-8 years older than me, and my oldest brother being 15 years older than me. So kind of a bit of a gap. But what that really translates to is I was always exposed to video games from the very beginning, the Nintendo Entertainment System, all the way to my brothers playing against each other in Doom, Command and Conquer. Like I mentioned earlier, it's always been kind of in my DNA, and it's always been a part of my life. So some of the games I started off with, right, were like your kind of basic, I guess for my time period, and Panda, I think you and I actually talked about this a bit too, is like original Super Smash Brothers, GoldenEye, N64 stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then from there, you actually started to expand. I started to expand into Xbox, PlayStation 3, and as the generations counted up. But something that always kind of kept you and I together, throughout high school and college and after college, is just There's something about PC games, man, like that have just kept us together and in touch with each other, whether it's Dawn of War, for those of you that are a part of the Bloodraven chapter, PUBG right now, Ark. There's just a load of different PC games.
Yeah.
yeah. And I know you have some history with that, and maybe in an episode we can talk about that as just a random topic. But eventually got into the Blizzard universe and played Heroes of the Storm, StarCraft 2, of course on Overwatch as well, and that's where I'm at, and that's really where my primary play is right now, is just playing there on that.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's definitely hard to deny a free goddamn game, you know? So, I mean, as for me, I start in a very similar fashion. I have one older brother, and I don't know why. He was playing Super Nintendo or something, so I got into that. I moved up through all the Xboxes. Xbox One, I wasn't feeling that much, but 360, the regular Xbox was awesome. So that, just like you, that brought me to PC, and we've been playing PC together for years. I wasn't part of the master race before, but now I feel like, I just got a new gaming laptop, and, I'm feeling more with the PC master race now. I'd probably say my favorite genre would be RTS.
Yeah, definitely.
RTS is real-time strategy, so like Command Conquer type games, StarCraft. But I love. As a result, I love. I guess it would be Heroes of the Storm is like a MOBA, right? Massive online battlefield arena. Yeah, so I like MOBAs. Overwatch, I loved Halo. I love first-person shooters. So Overwatch was kind of just natural to me. It was kind of like a Heroes of the Storm combined with like FPS. So I like that. I want that. I like that. I do that.
without the leveling up stuff, right? And that's something that I would love for us to cover a little bit on this podcast, is what makes Overwatch just work at this time, right? Like, it's such an interesting game, and there have certainly been others before it, like Team Fortress 2, but none that have really quite stuck the landing the way Overwatch has, and the way Overwatch has kind of carved out its piece. And that's a bit about us, guys. Oh, go ahead, man.
I mean, it's definitely a testament that good guy Blizzard, like, you don't have to play 100,000 hours to unlock like Tracer, like
Yeah.
And they're constantly just giving you good rewards, free promotions. I mean, the only thing I have to pay for is like a Pikachu hat for like my Reinhardt. Like, it's like ridiculous.
I haven't understood why other first person shooters haven't somehow adopted this. Maybe they're great on their own revenue stream or whatever, but with Blizzard, it's like, and Overwatch, it's like you just buy the game and that's it. If you want to buy loot boxes, you can. They don't actually do anything to the game, but they made all the content free, from characters, maps, modes, all that stuff, and you don't have to worry about a season pass, which is just nice. It's just you buy to get in, and that's it. And so
I think, I think that's a great topic on its own too. Is your middle brother is a professional app and game developer, and he has probably had to struggle with, do I release a game on the App Store for free? Do I charge 99 cents? Like, I know it's not the same exact thing as a PC game, but it's definitely probably a good thing to maybe bring him on a show and pick his brain about someday.
Definitely. And speaking about the show itself, one of the things that Panda and I want to lay out here in this episode is what you, the listeners, can expect from us. And this is a journey, guys and girls, and this is something that we are certainly new at. You can probably hear it in our first episode.
Life is a journey. No,
it's something that we're definitely new at, and it's something that but we're having fun with it, and we want to connect with the community, and we want our community that is listening to us to provide feedback, shoot over questions, topics, just thoughts. Of course, be respectful, and we're going to make two promises. One is that our show's going to get better each time you listen to it. And the second is that we're going to connect with you guys. We're going to listen and provide content that you guys want to listen to. But as of right now, what you can expect is you can expect 2 episodes a month. One is a segment that you're listening to right now between Panda and myself. And the other is just going to be a quick fire segment that we do for 10-15 minutes where one of us, primarily myself, will just talk about a specific topic related to the Overwatch community and what's going on. We're going to have guests appear on the show from strategists to game developers to players themselves hop on the shows. We'd love to see if we can get some developers at some point if we get the show big enough, because we would love to talk about the culture at Blizzard and just how they're able to maintain such an awesome game.
Yeah.
And then along the way, too, we're hoping that feedback comes in and viewers who are listening to us that recognize who we are, which are casual players who love the game, certainly not going diamond anytime soon. We're your typical 9-to-5 kind of players that just enjoy conversation, bringing up great topics. We want you guys to steer this as well, too. And so each podcast that we do, we're going to talk about a topic. It may be a debate. It may be just a theory. We may be talking strategy. But we're going to change it up every time so that you have something different to listen to. And hopefully it sparks some really good thoughts on the community's end, and they can share it with us. What do you think, Panda?
I mean, if I can add one more promise, and that's that, we will never leave a game on you. Like, I can't...
Yeah.
Like, I can't promise we won't troll the chat a bit, but we will not leave your game, man. So, with that,
you're stuck with us.
Yeah, you're stuck with our Wood League ass.
Yeah, we're staying at 12:15, and that is it, man. No more, no less. So
12:15 for the win. If you're over 1,300, like, don't come a knocking.
Yeah, right. If you're 1,300, I can't guarantee you're gonna win this game. So
yeah, I mean, in fact, I advise people to only date girls that are under 1,300 rating, because they're just less experienced. They probably don't realize as much. I just
using a Torbjorn on the offensive push.
Yeah.
So we got so we like to maintain our episodes together to be about a half hour or so in length, and like I mentioned, the quick fire ones will be much shorter with about a 10 to 15 minute segment. So as we're kind of halfway into our first episode already, we were trying to think of a topic that's really light and interesting to discuss. And one of the things that we're just going to kind of break the ice with is just characters that we play as. I myself, guys, am certainly nowhere close to a professional player. My ranking is currently sitting somewhere around 1,200, just to be very honest with you about it. But there are characters
that's on your fake account. No, I'm kidding. That's our account, folks.
When I'm smurfing, I make it actually into diamond, which is completely back-assward. But one of the things that we're just going to kind of break the ice with today, guys, is really just talking about a specific class in the Overwatch game that Panda and I play quite often, and just kind of have a discussion about where we find success and who we favorite and where we find our frustrations at, and maybe even provide a tip for some of you guys. And so today's focus is going to be on the tank class, which is Orisa, Reinhardt, Roadhog, Zarya. Who else am I missing, man? I think I mentioned Roadhog, right?
Is Lucio in the... No, I'm kidding.
No. Yeah, right.
Roadhog.
No, actually, Anna's in there.
Yeah, I think we got them all. I think there's...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you play them a little more than I do. Talk to the community a bit about in your experience. Why do you like playing as them? Who do you kind of favorite? Take it from there.
I mean, I'm sure a lot of you listeners can relate to, you go in with your 100 HP tracer and you're dead. Like you didn't even have a chance to use your rewind move. Like you're dead. Um, so I love the tank class because you have hundreds of points of HP. If you mess up, it's okay because you still probably have some health left. And I like that they also have a lot of offensive abilities. If you look at Roadhog, you look at Zarya. Um, I mean, honestly, if you look at any of them, they all have awesome offensive abilities and can do a crap ton of damage. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if it's just Wood League for me, but I've finished games being gold, getting the gold medal and damage done, and I'm like, that doesn't make sense. I'm a tank. Well, no, it's because you're swinging the shit out of your hammer, and you're killing.
Can we talk about that for a second? Can we talk about
Yeah,
Reinhardt's hammer?
yeah.
And I know that you, when we play together, that's like your primary tank to go with. Sometimes for me, man, there's an emotion unlike any other, and certain games will deliver it to me. Like slaying a Colossus in Shadow of the Colossus is just
Oh, yeah.
exhilarating for me.
Oh, yeah.
The reason why I bring up Reinhardt is, dude, it just feels so good to fucking club someone with that hammer. Like when you get a tracer that zips in and you club her in the fucking head and take her down, it's good, man. It just feels great. It's like a Doomfist charged punch where you just knock someone the fuck out and that's it, man. It's awesome, and I love that feeling with Reinhardt of having the shield up. You're pushing with your team, and when someone comes knocking up at your door, man, you've got this hammer. And for those of you that are practicing with Reinhardt and using him a lot, you know what I'm talking about. When you just start clubbing away and swinging for the fences, man, it just feels good. I had to sip that in there.
Man, I couldn't agree more. Like when I first started playing Reinhardt, probably like a few months ago, I never used his hammer. I was like, this is stupid. It probably does no damage. I'm just gonna use his like shield and his E attack, which is some weird. It's a good attack, but it's like a weird projectile. But
Yeah, it's like a fire mini tornado thing or whatever.
yeah, it's like some move from Street Fighter or something. But that like throws a fireball or like a Hadoken at someone. But what was I gonna say? So yeah, Reinhardt, like you were talking about the best like pretty much heroes to like smack the hell out of. I think Tracer's really good because it feels like you just like caught the unicorn. You're like SpongeBob and you caught that golden butterfly or golden jellyfish or whatever in your net. And also I just love smacking the hell out of Lucio because that boy is fast. So when you can smack the hell out of him, like it's a good day. I also I think for Reinhardt, I guess I'm more getting into like how I play him. I think he's good on offense. I think he's good on defense. I think he's good any like way you put him. For offense.
Yeah.
For offense, you just inch his shield up. For defense, you kind of just hold the fort. Also for offense, you can do your charge attack, which is just badass. I mean, it's similar to the hammer. Like when you get someone with that, even a tank, like it almost kills them. You finish them off.
And
Hammer, but
can I mention too real quick? You were talking about inching up with the shield. So when I play in a tank mode, when I'm playing in the tank class,
yeah,
I'm in competitive. I like to imagine that there's an invisible line that you can't see, but you can feel it, and that line is the attacking team progressing and the defensive team making a stand, and there's this line that's getting pushed, right? So
right.
If you're offense, you're of course trying to move forward and either move the payload or you're trying to capture the point. Tanks are what move that line for me, in my opinion. Tanks are what move it. Like when Reinhardt moves forward and he's got his shield up and I'm 76 or I'm Widowmaker or whatever the case is, I'm moving with him. And so I think tanks are probably the most whether it's offensive or defensive, in my opinion, they move this invisible line on the field of play, and they are what's going to either make your team succeed or fail. And you and I have talked about this, man. Like, when I play as Orisa and I'm shooting her force field out or her shield, we always like say it to each other. I'm like, all right, I'm going to move the line. Like, I shoot the shield a few feet forward. We progress a few feet forward. And then you keep doing that and moving that line. And so for me, guys, I love playing as Orisa. I think she is just as versatile as Reinhardt. I love the different kinds of abilities that she has. It really makes her a very good, in my opinion, tank to play as, and someone that I go to very often.
I think Orisa's good too because she is the projectile queen. Like, Reinhardt might be the melee king, but like,
yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, like, I forget what is in Mortal Kombat. They have like Sheba, like. Orisa is fucking Sheba with like 6 or 8 legs. Yeah, she's badass. All right, Polar. So we've been talking about tanks we do like. How about you tell us about some tanks you don't like and why you do or don't play them?
Yeah. So probably the tank that first comes to my mind is Zarya. As someone that I don't play. And it's weird because when I was on PlayStation 4 and I was playing Overwatch a lot with my buddies on PlayStation, Zarya was one of my main go-tos, and I loved playing as her. And I don't know what it is. I don't see her used a whole lot in competitive matches, but I feel like when you're in the Bronze League, or the Wood League as you and I like to call it, like when you're in the bottom barrel, you're not trying to work on like crazy high concepts of game mechanics or team strategies. You're just trying to use the character that you've selected to the best of their abilities. And I think Zarya, the reason why I'm kind of turned off with her at right now is just because the timing of those shields, of when you can activate them, is really difficult for me to get right. Like, I can't tell you how many times we're like standing at the doorway. We're standing at the doorway and everyone's kind of like, all right, group up with me, group up with me, group up with me. And then you have like 6 understood messages coming in. And even before we move, I just throw a shield on someone because fuck it, why not? And the shield doesn't last that long and they just get wiped out. And so Zarya's tough, man. She's so valuable in how she's used. But that's my tank, and it is mostly because of me. I just haven't figured her out right, and I don't see her used a whole lot in competitive either, by the way.
Yeah, I haven't seen her. I agree with you. That would have been my first go-to. Yeah, like, fuck that. Like, I don't play Zarya tank, but yeah, I've never seen her really played that consistently in top-tier play. I think if you can get her projectile going, her lobbing her balls of goo and crap, I think you can really do some serious damage. I mean, I'm sure you've used her a few times where you could get it going, but
yeah. But the other thing too about her is, and I don't know, maybe this is something that the developers are just not going to move on, or they're not going to really review too much. But I feel like the cooldown for her shields is like a little too long. I'd love it to be like a second or 2 less. So I think it's somewhere around 8 to 10 seconds that she has to wait for a cooldown of her shields, that she can either cast onto herself or onto another player. And I would just like for them to be just a little more readily available, just a little bit, just to see what that's like. Because I feel like once you cast that shield, and damn, man, you better fucking make sure that you had casted it on the right person at the right time, because if not, you got 10 seconds to wait. And in Overwatch, 10 seconds can feel like a much longer time than just 10 seconds. So
yeah, I mean, you can push the payload across the map, like halfway across the map in 10 seconds. So I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, and I just got to throw this out there too. So I had been watching a bit of the Overwatch League, which is another subject that we'll be getting into on this show. And I got to just say real quick, that up until I had watched that league, I had never used Winston before, and I'm starting to use him now. And I'm starting to get it. Like, he's a mobile tank. You're not going to get a ton of kills with him. You're really just a tank by design. Like, he's mobile, he's quick, he does deal some damage. It's nice that his Tesla cannon can't be blocked by like Genji and Diva characters like that. But I really hadn't given much thought into using him until I started watching him being used in the Overwatch League, and he is a lot of fun. Definitely isn't overtaking Orisa anytime soon for me, but he's a pretty cool tank as well. What about you?
I do like how Winston can get his big ass in there and just like disrupt the point. I mean, I feel like there's no tank better than that. I mean, Diva, she has her ult, but she can't do it constantly. But yeah, I think I totally agree with you about Zarya there. I think she's kind of due for a buff. I haven't looked at her patch history, but the way most, after playing so many Blizzard games for so many years and other games, what they'll usually do is they'll release a hero, they'll be overpowered, and then they'll eventually get to nerfing them, and then they nerf the hell out of them, and then they'll buff them again, and then they'll nerf them to the ground, and then they'll just be like, well, like...
Just like they fucked up my girl Vala in Heroes of the Storm, man. I was so fucking mad when I went back and I saw how she was redone. But that's for another topic, another day. We're not going to get into that. We're not going to get into that today. But
that is good. And
I don't like that.
Quick, though, I don't like that. I don't want that. But just real quick though, like, Zarya in Heroes of the Storm is amazing. Like, that's what I don't get either. No, she is amazing in Heroes, and I just wish it translated better into Overwatch.
She's so timely. She's very. You gotta have her on the right. You gotta have her on the right move and at the right point in time to cast those shields. But being a tank, it's just such a fun class to play because, like I mentioned, you guys are moving. You move the line. You pretty much dictate the flow of combat. It takes a much longer time for the enemy team to take you down if they're doing a 1v1 or even a 2v1 match. And I just love how each tank feels so different from the next. Like, Winston is so much more mobile than Zarya, but Zarya has the shields that Roadhog doesn't have or Diva doesn't have, and Diva's the only one with flight. Like, they really put a lot of thought into each of these characters, making them feel unique, but also making you as the player just feel so empowered to have an impact on the game with a character designed to be a tank. It's really awesome.
I mean, I don't want people to think we're like sponsored by Blizzard because we're not yet. And like this isn't a Blizzard circle jerk, but I love, like, honestly, think about it. If someone today told you, all right, tomorrow I want you to come up with 5 new heroes that use shields in 5 different goddamn ways, I'd be like, like, give me the gun. Like, I'm ending it. Like, I can't think of that many. I'd probably think of 2 and be like, But it definitely is unique. And speaking of Diva, she definitely has the best ultimate of probably the whole lot of characters. I mean, it's just.
I can't tell you how many people, dude, I've played with that just start cursing up a storm when that ultimate gets used. And I think for me, like, over my time playing it, it's just anytime I hear that, it's run behind a wall. Like, just hit the deck, get cover, and hopefully you just don't get hit by it. But I love her ultimate. You definitely have to be skilled to place it and to obviously generate it. But she's definitely my favorite ultimate of all. I think the worst one is probably Orisa, even though I play her the most. Like, Supercharger's all right, but it's not as groundbreaking as any of the other ultimates for the tanks. Like, it's kind of I don't know. It's kind of like they took Mercy and just put her into a little canister of like Pepsi and just said, "Here, throw this on the battlefield," and that's your ultimate. Like, she just pulls out like a can of Coke, slams it on the ground, and then everyone just gets boosted from it. So I guess that's cool. But
you know what though? Part of the ultimates though is, and this is a huge discussion, but how quick is the cooldown? How quick can you get it? Because Tracer's isn't that amazing, but you get it in like in probably like 2 minutes. So, and I haven't played Orisa enough to know her cooldown on her.
Yeah, I definitely want to talk a little bit more on this show about like the character designs and how they function, and provide some tips for players who may not have realized certain things. Like, for instance, guys, from someone who's played Orisa quite a bit, like her ultimate, not her ultimate, but her shield can actually block like a full Diva Blast. So something to think about, if you activate her shield and then also activate her defensive resistance ability, I think it's like Fortify Barrier or something like that. You'll have to forgive me on the terminology there, but it's kind of interesting that if you throw up her shield and activate her defensive resistance, she can actually withstand a full Diva Blast, like to the face almost.
That's crazy. Yeah, I think Reinhardt shield. I think a full Reinhardt shield can too if it's directed the correct way.
Yeah, and that makes it like really important to know that kind of stuff, so that when you're playing with a team and you're trying to push that payload, and you hear those lines of nerf this, you're like, yeah, I'm ready to nerf this. Just throw it up my shield, and we're all good. Like we'll be safe. So
definitely. Cool. I guess one last point about Reinhardt. That is actually, you made me think of the shitty thing about Reinhardt is, you're throwing up your shield, you're pushing payloads like a boss, and then where the fuck is your team? Like, you're all alone, like Reaper's sneaking behind you, like sticking the shotty up your ass. Like, where's your team, man? So that's why I get frustrated with Reinhardt sometimes, but, as is Wood League play.
So that's something that we're going to talk about more, and I think it's going to be a topic that's really around like the psychology of what goes in a player's mind when they're playing competitive in like a bronze league. We're not talking diamond or those kind of statuses where those players are throwing in hours and hours a day to be amazing at the characters that they play. We're talking about like you guys, the casual players, who are in competitive because you are competitive. And we're going to talk about that a bit, as the show progresses and moves on. And as we kind of wind down here, one final parting shot is that I have around the tank classes and just their use is just it's great to be the heavy lifters, the people that push the line of attack or hold the line of defense or move the payloads. But the other thing that you end up losing when you do switch over or start off as a tank is your offensive capabilities are rather limited, and so you have to rely on your other teammates in order for them to put bodies put bodies down pretty much. And that can be pretty frustrating, especially if you're in the league, if you're in the ranking system that we're in right now, which is the lowest one. And people don't seem to get that sometimes, and that's something that we'll get into more. But, if you haven't tried your tank classes yet, definitely give them a shot. But just know you're not going to be healing yourself. Obviously, that's a given, I think. But probably more what will end up frustrating you a bit more is you do have to rely on your other teammates to be more offensive in putting those bodies down as you hold that line and direct all the fire your way, right?
I mean, case in point, Reinhardt can literally put all the bodies down, but it's like he put them to sleep. Like, you might as well just put a blanket on them and, like, sing them, like, a lullaby. That you're not going to kill them. Like, you might kill one, you might kill two, but, unless they're clumped all together, you're not going to kill them.
And I love the person that's on our that's on the team, right? That's just like, oh, this team is trash and we're not killing anyone, and you as the tank are just like, motherfucker, I'm holding the line, like I can't kill people. That's someone else's job, right? Like, give me a break. And there's just a bit of frustration that comes with that, but
you you can only carry so much as one character.
Literally, as a tank, there's only so much that you can do, and that's really the common theme, right? That goes with every character class that you play as: healing, support, or whatever. Not warrior, but offense and defensive classes. You can only do so much in those classes, and so we're kind of wrapping up here at this point. Panda, do you have any last comments about what we talked about, or just the show in general? Anything you want to talk to our viewers about?
I think they should know that we're, we might act like we're all perfect and stuff, but I've definitely been that guy who has talked shit on chat because I thought like the Reinhardt wasn't doing their job, yeah, man. And I also wanted to know, as I said, we're not advocating. We love Blizzard, but we definitely have some
yeah,
we definitely have some beef with them, and I want to get into
some psychotic fucking hatreds that they do. We'll get into that.
Yeah, but I had a great time today with you, and I hope that the listener will tune in for some more fun.
So, kind of piggybacking off of what Panda said there, and just kind of summarizing what we mentioned earlier on, this is our first episode, and this is something that we haven't ever really done before, and we're striking out on our own here with this. And so this is a journey, and you as the viewers are a part of that. You guys are going to watch us get better. You guys are going to watch us grow and develop, but we're still going to always stay Polar and Panda. And like Lazy Panda mentioned earlier on, we're certainly not professionals. We're just a couple of casual players who really love playing games and have really taken a liking to Overwatch itself. Not just in the game, but what the community represents and what they're doing with it to expand into like a true competitive esport product. And so, first off, I want to thank you guys for listening. This is something that is in a way difficult for both of us to do because we don't really put ourselves out there like this. And so thank you for listening. Please, if you wouldn't mind taking some time to send some feedback to us. Maybe there's a topic you would like for us to focus on. Maybe there are some pointers that you'd like to give us. But this is us asking the community how we did and what we can do to get better. And so we want to thank you guys for tuning in, giving us a listen. I hope we gave you some interesting things to think about, or maybe there were just, some feelings that you as a tank player have felt, and we were able to kind of relate to you. Right. Whether it's pushing the payload and just getting fucking wiped out because no one's supporting you, or having that teammate tell you that the team's trash and we're not doing anything, and yet you're taking all the fire.
Or even you're the best Zarya player and you're just amazing and we're completely off. I want to know good Zarya players. That'd be awesome. So
yeah, that would be cool if we could get at some point, if we could set up a system where people could send us their best plays of the game for characters that we call out that we're not good at, and then we can find a way to post them on the website that our podcast is on. I'm really big on connecting with the community, guys, and unlike Panda, this is something that I'm actually looking to dive deeper into a career on and switch up. So we can only get better if you guys help us get better. And until then, we're going to continue to push out as best of content as we can. And we promise we're going to get better with each episode. So thank you again, and peace out. Keep pushing those payloads, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, you guys push the payloads and we'll push out the podcast too.
I like that. Very cool. All right, guys. Have a good one.